Hello, everybody, and welcome. I hope you are all taking very best care this evening. And for those of you who don't yet know me, my name is Nina, and I'm curator of programs and interpretation at the Williams College Museum of Art. It's so wonderful to see all the wonderful places that you all are joining us from. Hello to everyone who's sharing their locations with us in the chat. And I'm so delighted to have you all here for tonight's workshop, Farming and Feasting, with the wonderful Chef Aaron Oster of AOK Berkshire Barbecue here in North Adams, where I'm calling in from, and also Farmer Tu Lee of 328 North Farm in Williamstown. Tonight, Tu and Aaron are going to be showing us some of the techniques for cooking up a really wonderful Vietnamese vegan curry called Ka Ri Chai, highlighting ingredients grown at 328 North Farm. We will share a link as well in the chat and also in our follow-up email that will direct you to the recipe so you can make this really wonderful dish at home. Tonight's workshop is the fourth and final program in our January Cures for Strange Times series. Over the past 4 weeks, we've been delighted to bring together art and wellness practitioners from our incredible local Berkshire community for these participatory experiences centering reflection, play, making, and embodiment as forms of learning and being. And it's been so delightful to share these with folks from all over the country and all over the world. So wonderful to know just how wide-reaching we've been able to bring our work to. We are excited to also continue with the theme of nourishment and wellness next week through our new Ecology series, a series of interdisciplinary dialogues exploring the intersections of art, people, and place. Next week, on Thursday, February 4th at 5:30 p.m., farmer Jen Salinetti, herbalist Mandana Bushi, and artist Yoko Inoue and Sarah Rara all come together in a collaborative experience and conversation exploring the theme of sustenance. On February 23rd, we'll also resume our art-inspired yoga series, which will continue weekly on Thursday evenings. We'll share links to those programs in the chat as well. Tonight's program and the additional programs in the Cures for Strange Times series will be recorded and will be available on the museum's website in the coming weeks. Also, throughout the program tonight, if you have any questions, please feel free to use either the chat or the Q&A feature, which you can find at the bottom of your Zoom navigation bar. And we will do our very best to be sure that your questions are answered. If you have any technical questions or difficulties, please also feel free to write us in the chat at any time, and we'll do our best to help you. Before I hand it over to Aaron and Tu, I would also love to give a very special thanks to my wonderful colleague and collaborator, Ann Kennedy, who is behind the scenes with us tonight, helping to support this program. Thank you so much, Ann. And with that, I am so thrilled to introduce you to tonight's presenters, Aaron Oster and Tu Lee, who I know will both expand on these brief introductions I have for them as they share their wonderful stories and connections with us during tonight's program and conversation. Tu Lee is a Vietnamese-American farmer and co-owner of 328 North Farm in Williamstown, Massachusetts. Tu came to the US as a refugee with his family and grew up in San Diego, California. Tu, as I have come to know, has many talents and areas of expertise. He has a background in fashion and industrial design and spent almost 2 decades working on industrial construction projects. After experiencing a personal tragedy, Tu and his partner, Matt, came upon Williamstown while on the way to Vermont. And in 2014, they started up a homestead in Williamstown with the hopes of allowing their family to be self-sufficient. After COVID hit, Matt and Tu expanded their venture, turning their homestead into an amazing farm and starting up a food and flower CSA open to the Berkshire community. A sampling of some of the incredible things grown at 328 Farm can be seen in this beautiful photo. Aaron Oster has dedicated the last 20 years to the production of food and the environments in which people share time, food, and memories. I've gotten to know Aaron through the amazing culinary wonders he offers at AOK Berkshire Barbecue, which he and his partner Alexandra launched in 2017 on the campus of Mass MoCA here in North Adams, Massachusetts. Aaron's background in food is incredibly wide-ranging, but his work is unified by a commitment to collaboration, community, and care. In his own words, Aaron has said that his goal is, quote, to put better food on the tables of those within our community and make a space that cares for the people in the business as much as those outside of it. This is definitely, from my experience, the case for both Aaron and A-OK. We are so thrilled to bring Tu and Aaron together tonight to share the spirit of creativity and collaboration with all of us. And so with that, I would love to turn it over to them. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening.
Hello, everybody.
That's us. All right. So we were waiting for the video lag.
Yeah.
I think we just sort of like what we were staring at.
I hope everyone's doing well this evening. And thank you for joining us. This evening, Aaron and I are really excited to work together. We've been working together for the past week, and it's been great.
It has been. Yeah.
Tell them a little bit about A-OK and yourself. Like
Sure.
How long you guys have been in business?
Yeah, we've been here in North Adams for Alex and I moved here from Vegas back in 2016. In April will be, I guess what, 5 years that we've been here, and we started A-OK about 2.5 years ago, with the idea of doing things in a way that made us happy first, so that we could then make our employees and the community happy. And we've been so grateful for the sort of openness of North Adams, but mostly that we've been able to continue doing what we love to do, which is to share what we both do with a lot of intention and a lot of passion with North Adams, and everyone's been really open to it.
Yeah.
And so when you and I serendipitously met at Emily Yon's Plant Connector on Eagle Street, it kind of seemed like a no-brainer. Like, how do we do something together as soon as possible?
It was less than 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just a random. I was dropping off product to the Plant Connector. I believe I was dropping off reeds and forest bulbs for the season, and we just kind of hit it off there. Yeah. It was just really great. It was the universe brought us together, and tonight we're gonna demonstrate what we're gonna do with it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And we brought a little bit of product from our farm, 328 North, which kind of automatically happened. It wasn't a planned thing. My partner and I moved here in 2014. We've been in Williamstown, and we developed a homestead. And over time, we've just been making mistakes and learning and planting perennials and an orchard. And like 7 years later, we're happy to be opening up our homestead to the community and offering a different type of product that a lot of farms around here don't. For instance, ginger and lemongrass and bitter melon and all different types of Asian squashes and herbs and greens and so on and so forth. So
there's a tremendous amount of excitement for me personally, because living in New York City or living in Las Vegas, you sort of get accustomed to the exotic ingredients that are at your fingertips. And there are some ingredients around here and you can find things, but I think that there's a purity and a sort of a real passion for what you're doing that exists with 328 North. And also like the past week cooking with you has been incredible, because
it's been really exciting.
Yeah, because it's we're both very simpatico in the way that we prepare food, but I'm learning about this whole Vietnamese world of preparing food that seems very simple and actually reminiscent of like the Jewish home that I grew up in. So
which is very, very interesting, because my partner is Jewish, so we kind of marry this kind of the Jewish tradition with the Vietnamese flavors. Like, for instance, it'll be a lemongrass brisket for Hanukkah.
Oh my God.
Or those type of things. So I think the whole point of us starting the homestead is we wanted to grow what we wanted to eat, which was kind of lacking in the local stores. And if we wanted to go to an Asian market, the nearest one is an hour away.
Yeah.
So I think that was the foundation that we started and continue. And hopefully we can share more with our community on our website and our recipes and collaborations with other chefs in the region. So
it's great.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
So
should we get started?
Should we get started?
Okay.
Let's see what we're going to make a vegan Vietnamese curry today called curry chai. This recipe was passed down to me by my mom, and it was actually a chicken curry that I've kind of reworked a little bit and rewrote so you, the audience, can make it at home fairly easy for yourself and use whatever is in season, whatever you have access to. So,
and before you get started, I want to show this to everybody who's watching. Like, it's intimidating for me, even as a person who's been a professional cook for more than half my life now, that when you approach a different cultural food recipe or a different style of food altogether that's very foreign to you, sometimes the technique that's included seems really challenging. But I think it's important to sort of understand that, like, the way that these are being cut are extremely rough and simple, and like even this kabucha squash has the skin on. Tu and I were talking about this today, that like the skin has a ton of nutrients in it, and as long as you clean the vegetable, just scrub it clean, it's ready to go.
It still has flavor and it brings nice color to the rest of the dish. So
I'm gonna get this pan hot.
He's gonna start by adding oil to the pan, get it warm, and adding oil. And what I'm gonna show you is a part of the recipe requires lemongrass, and you don't want to chop it, you don't want to just throw it in, but you want to bruise it to release some of the oils so you get those flavors in your curry, because you're not going to eat the lemongrass or the ginger, but they're going to enhance the flavor in your dish. So in order to bruise this, I usually cut off the ends and I just whack it really, really hard. And then we're going to cut this into thirds. And this is going to be going into the dish.
Oh my God.
So same thing with ginger. I don't like peeling the ginger. The skin has wonderful flavor. Just make sure you wash it, soak it in water for a little bit to get all the impurities out. But same thing, we want to release the natural oils of this. So I'm going to cut it in half and just smash it a little. That's it. Really, really easy. You don't have ginger or lemongrass, I suggest you go find some, because this dish won't be the same without it.
They have it. They tend to have at most grocery stores at least ginger. If not lemongrass.
You can find ginger locally at Wild Oats, at Stop and Shop, at any market around the country. These ingredients are starting to become more common in our society, because our society is an ever-changing immigrant society. And I am a prime example of that. I've been here for over 40 years, and I feel like I am just as American as Aaron is, even though I wasn't born here.
So where do we start?
So we add some oil in.
Yep, oil's in there. And
oil's in here.
I can tell that it's hot because it's starting to shake.
So let's add some shallots and garlic and the chilies. We're going to use sambal today. I don't have any fresh chilies, but fresh chilies are always good. Or you can leave these out if you want the spice to be less.
Aaron and Tu, do you guys want to maybe turn on your other camera too, so that we can get a close up of some of the cooking?
Oh yeah, so you can see what we're doing here. Yep.
I'm going to show you some of the ingredients here. This is what
I'm just going to keep moving it so it doesn't burn. Too.
So
so what's next after this step?
And then add the curry powder.
Just curry powder.
Curry powder. It has a lot of turmeric in this curry powder.
I'm going to stand just over here. Ooh, yeah. So this is a Madras curry powder.
It's a Madras curry powder, so it has less cumin, less fennel in it. Curry was brought to Vietnam by Asian Indians, and like all food in that region, all the flavors and ingredients are the same.
See, it has that sort of consistency of sand. Right now, it's sort of collecting all the liquid that's at this. And I'm using
a little bit more oil, probably.
And I'm using a wooden spoon here, guys, as well too. Just see that, so we're not scraping the bottom of this pan.
We have a question, Erin. Someone's wondering if you're using induction heat and whether it matters, maybe, you know, on what kind of stovetop you're using.
If we are using induction, and I actually prefer induction for, I mean, our kitchen doesn't require it for AOK because we're in the business of sort of smoking.
Yeah.
But I prefer induction because it's cleanliness and it's no wasted energy. So it's direct to the pot. So I'm not heating the area around the pot. I'm just heating the area that I'm cooking on because of the nature of what induction actually is, which is using electromagnets to heat the pan.
So at this point, you want the heat on like medium high,
Yep.
and just to really get everything going. I'm a huge proponent of cooking things on high heat.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and then you can lower the temperature. You really want all these spices and flavors.
But
to
also,
marry. So these can be
Yeah.
added next.
Okay. And can I make a comment about that too?
Yeah.
So when Tu was talking about cooking on high heat, the only way you can cook on high heat is if you prepare yourself
Yeah.
for cooking. So that means just taking a little bit of time beforehand and just like getting your ingredients ready. I'm gonna add a little more oil.
Yeah, there you go. And yeah, the recipe is just kind of a foundation. And like all recipes, you kind of should personalize them. Is what I've done. Obviously, this is not the recipe my mom or siblings have passed down to me. It's my version of it, based on what I have access to or grow. So there you go. And then next after this is you add your liquid, which in here is already mixed the 2 cups of coconut milk and 1 cup of water. So,
oh my God.
And now like if you were in here, you smell the wonderful flavors
Magic.
of all this toasted.
Yes.
So we're gonna add the liquid in.
Oh my God.
And then it's gonna bring that up to a boil. And then we're gonna slowly add our vegetables. And today we have Kabucha Squash, which we grew at 328 North, and sweet potatoes, and some small Yukon Gold potatoes.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to bring that up to a boil, and then we're going to add all of these in.
That's really it.
Yeah, it's very, very simple. This is like a perfect 30-minute meal. We usually at home make large batches of it, and I par cook it, and then I portion it out and freeze it, because during farming season, I'm exhausted and I don't want to cook when I've been out in the fields for 12, 14 hours. So that's going to slowly come to a boil.
It looks great.
Look how beautiful that is.
My God, the color is like,
Yeah.
You guys can see this color. It's like this
Kabucha
dark
squash.
golden brown.
Yeah.
And the smell is amazing. And that's, I mean, we're in real time here. We've been cooking now for what, 3-4 minutes? You know, spending the extra 10 to 15 minutes preparing all of your mise en place, what we call mise en place, all of your ingredients for the dish is good, you know. And if you cook with your partner or your kids, you know, going through the recipe and checking everything off, it doesn't have to be like, you know, militaristically organized, but it's just like, no, do we need onions? Yes, we've got onions. And then we just prep them. So they're all ready for us. And then the conversation is about, you know, like why are these sweet potatoes special? Why are these squash so special? Why are these squash so special?
They just, I don't know. There's something about it. It brings back a lot of, Kabucha always brings back a lot of great memories for me.
Why?
My mom liked to cook it, and it was just a simple dish. We got shallots and oil. That's the base. And just sometimes garlic, and you saute it, and sometimes shrimp, sometimes pork, sometimes nothing, sometimes tofu. And you just develop the flavor of the sweet squash. And
with this kind of base too?
No, just a simple base. Just water. Just like and in Vietnamese we call that gan, like just a soup, just a nice soup to be balanced with some saltier protein dish.
This is amazing. We're boiling now.
We're boiling now, so we can add the vegetables. And this time of year, these storage crops are really, really great. Root vegetables are great. you don't have any of this. Carrots are really great. In the summer, I make this with zucchini, with beans, baby corn that we grow.
Is there an order that you want to add these in?
No, because we cut them pretty evenly and they'll cook pretty much the same.
Okay.
And that's why there's the softer vegetables like the onions, shiitakes, and bell peppers. We'll add in 5 minutes after those because those take a little longer to cook. So I just, please add those. So when we prep, we just separate different types of ingredient that takes different time to cook.
We have a couple questions that I think might be great to answer right now.
All right.
We have also more requests for the second camera. People are loving the close-up view.
Okay, good. We'll bring that back.
To see all the luscious veggies in the pot.
How's our liquid level here?
It's good. It's going to reduce. The vegetables are going to. You could add more liquid to this depending on how you're choosing to serve it. Like with this less liquid, this is great for over rice. But you could always add, we could always add a little bit more liquid, and it's great over rice noodles, and it's like a noodle dish. But on Sunday here, we're going to be serving this with a baguette that Alexandra's baking, which they are to die for. I can easily eat one on our car ride home. So, the liquid is good, and you can always adjust it.
And does this need to be covered?
Nope.
Yep. That's great.
So it's really, it's a very straightforward dish.
So what are those questions, Nina, that folks were interested in?
Yeah, so we have a couple. One is a question of just about the Kabucha squash. If you could, that is a new squash for some of our audience members. So wanted to ask about, a little more about like, what is the flavor of that squash? More things that we want to know about that, as what might be a substitute.
Excuse me, guys.
Say that last one again, Nina.
Oh, also curious, folks are curious about if there are any good particular substitutes for that type of squash.
It's considered a Japanese pumpkin. So you can use pumpkin, butternut, any type of squash. What I particularly like about the kabucha is it is much sweeter and savory than a pumpkin. It's the best for pumpkin pie, actually. So I would strongly suggest people try it this year if you can. There's a lot of farms in Western Massachusetts that grow different varieties of kabucha. We particularly grow a Thai and Japanese variety at our farm. And we've been trying to breed some new crossbreeds with other squashes that we like as well. But it is my favorite squash to cook with. But carrots are really great. Colored potatoes.
They have such a beautiful, these kabucha squash, kabucha or kabucha?
I always like kabucha.
Okay, kabucha.
Yeah.
All right. Those squash they have this beautiful, super velvety texture to them, and they look a little intimidating because they're these massive sort of green like squash, and they're
really hard to cut. Their pulp and their seeds are really great too. But we usually give those to our chickens. But so any type of winter squash will work great with this dish this time of year if you have it in storage, or certain farms are selling it right now.
Certain squashes, though, you can't eat the skin, or you can't. I mean, technically you could, but it's really not great for your body.
No, but like delicata, you can eat the skin. Spaghetti squash. I don't know how well spaghetti squash would do in here because of the texture.
It might just sort of macerate down a little bit too much. Yeah, but with like a butternut squash, you want to peel that before.
You want to peel that before.
Acorn might be okay for this as well too.
Acorn would be good for delicata. Would be good for this.
Absolutely.
So, but carrots in the sun, we grow. There's wonderful colors of carrots now. So if you want to make your dish more vibrant, and there's different ways of.
And we just put sweet potatoes, regular old sweet potatoes, and Yukon Gold potatoes. Yeah. These Yukon Gold potatoes, when you guys go to the store to buy Yukon Golds, they come in a couple different sizes. So A's are typically the ones that are the size of like your fist, and B's are the smaller ones. And now they have got these like really like mini potatoes, which are awesome. But you want to be careful adding those too soon because they're going to overcook because they don't take very long. just going to check on this. This looks like it's doing pretty well.
It's going pretty well. We can add this in. I'll probably add a little bit more water.
Yep. Okay, go for it. And it's interesting to note that like we have a recipe for this, but I think ultimately these kinds of dishes are about building confidence.
Yeah.
Understanding how these sort of flavors are built on top of one another. We started with oil.
Yeah.
Started with oil and with like ginger and garlic and lemongrass. And then we added the curry powder to it, which then dried it out and sort of toasted those seasonings. And then we added the coconut milk and the water. And now we're adding these root vegetables that are sort of, and the squash, which are like releasing their sugar slowly. And then the sort of last bit will be these pieces here.
Yeah.
And then
these are pretty quick.
Yeah,
too.
those are pretty quick. And then the final bit will just be adding the other pieces.
Yeah, the aromatics.
Yeah. So what else do we have over there?
We have the aromatics. Will have scallions, Thai basil, and coriander, cilantro, and then we'll chop this up to finish the dish once it's ready to serve.
Can I help you with that now?
Yeah, it's wonderful. So
we had a really great question about sort of what's being added when, and you added the shallots at the very beginning. Someone's wondering why you're adding the onions later and not with the shallots.
Because the onion is going to play a part as one of the vegetables, and the shallots and the garlic, you're building the flavor. So you're getting that flavor built, the base of your stock, and that mixes with the curry powder. You're almost kind of making your own curry powder in a sense.
Yeah.
Because that particular curry powder has just a few ingredients: chilies, turmeric, a little bit of cumin, little cardamom, just a little bit of things. So adding the aromatics of shallots and garlic at the beginning is a nice little flavor.
And
but they can burn very easily.
Totally.
Too. So that's why I think on the recipe I only have like till fragrant, which is like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So
and shallots and onions are in the same family, but they're not the same.
No.
So like, you know, the old sort of restaurant secret was using shallots to build flavor instead of using onions because they have a different kind of sweetness and sort of savoriness of to their flavor profile. And they're typically a little bit more they're a little bit more work, and they're a little bit more delicate, and they're a little bit sweeter sometimes, and so they need a little bit care. And you also typically use them in restaurants because we have all of our mise en place, we've got all of our ingredients ready, so we can cook with it faster. And they were also cut a lot smaller than these onions are. These onions are like large.
I really, it's just, you don't want that bite of garlic or shallot. You kind of want it married with everything. But when the onion is acting as one of the vegetables here in this particular dish.
So I have another question for you. Too, as I was sort of getting these sort of aromatics ready.
Yeah.
I started to separate the basil from its stems because I just naturally do that after 20 years of cleaning herbs. But the cilantro, do I need to do that with the cilantro? I mean, I wouldn't if I was just
no. You know, a lot of the flavors are in the stock. You know, we grow cilantro, and sometimes we sell the coriander roots, and the coriander roots I will save and freeze, and we add it to our pho. We add it to different a lot of the flavors in all of the plant. So I suggest trying to use as much of anything as possible.
Yeah, and a lot of Asian cuisine uses different parts of the scallion as well, too, or the green onion. So like when we were making the pho yesterday or on Tuesday, we were using the stems here
for the
the white part for the stock, but then the green is sort of the garnish.
For the garnish.
Yeah.
So
there's nothing wasted.
There's nothing wasted. And I think that goes along with a lot of Vietnamese food.
Yeah. So I'm just sort of rough chopping this to my liking, but I imagine there's no real
I usually just tear it, or just because you're adding another layer of flavor onto the dish.
That's a really good point too, because like as I cut this, I'm cutting like I want to use it right away. I don't want to like cut this basil and then like use it in 2 days.
No.
Like I'm already starting the bruising process.
Someone else was asking about the size of the lemongrass and the ginger that you added, noting that those are pretty big pieces as opposed to having them chopped up really fine or minced. We'd just love to hear a little bit more about the reasoning for that. Does that add a more subtle flavor? Could you do it with smaller pieces?
You can do it with smaller pieces, but those are being used as aromatics. So we're trying to get all those extract all those flavors out. So before we actually serve the dish, we're going to remove the ginger and lemongrass for this particular dish. For instance, if I make like a green curry, like a Thai green curry, then I will chop everything down and make a paste in a mortar and pestle. So the shallot and the lemongrass would disappear in the paste. But this particular curry, this is the way I was taught how to do it, and I particularly like how to done this way. And you're releasing all these flavors in large quantities, and then you're removing it.
That's great. And Aaron, I'm wondering if you could maybe even show us, but also tell us a little bit about your cutting technique there on the vegetables. It looks like you definitely have a good cutting technique down.
Oh yes. You know what? I'll grab something to cut so I can demonstrate.
About par cooking? Yeah, par cooking. Like for instance, this curry, if I was making a large batch, or I would have stopped it as soon as we added the mushrooms, peppers, and onions, and taken it off the heat. And then if I'm going to eat it that evening, then just remove all the stuff I plan to put away and keep it going for the additional 10 minutes for the rest of the ingredients. And what this does is, if you par cook items that you're going to freeze or store, then when you bring it back to a boil or recook it, then you're actually finishing cooking it rather than overcooking it.
It smells so good. All right, so here's your technique lesson here, 101. 2, would you?
What's that?
Can you guys see? You can see what I'm doing here, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So I have a large knife that was gifted to me, just perfect for demonstrations such like
We're going to
this.
turn this way.
Okay, perfect. Oh, that's great. So I'm left-handed, so this will be fine. There's a couple things when it comes to cutting with a knife. This is a chef's knife. I want to hold it a little bit. If you guys can see this, I want to hold it a little bit closer to the hilt here, where the handle and the blade meet each other, sort of right here. And grip it this way. And the idea is having a motion that is pushing down and forward at the same time, so that I'm slicing through it. This knife has a straight edge. Straight edges are for slicing. Serrated edges are for cutting through things that are a little bit thicker, which is more of a sawing action. You may recognize, if you've ever seen a wood saw or something like that, that's what those teeth are designed to do. But this is really a slice. So if I'm moving this motion in this way, I'm slicing through it a lot more effectively. And so what I'll do there, now that I've got my technique all set up on my left hand, my right hand is going to hold the material, and I'm going to sort of curl my fingers. My chef once told me it was tiger claw, like kung fu movies. You know, like I want to have the tips of my fingers curled in, holding the product down, and slowly working through it. So I'm not cutting my fingers, and then working with my thumb here on the inside here, this, just pushing the ingredients up towards the blade. But again, my thumb is protected so that I can cut all the way through it. When I was a young cook, I would be walking myself down the board, cutting through the whole thing instead of staying sort of right here. And we're rough chopping this, so there's really no need to do it. But even if I'm just cutting through stuff, it's still the same action. Thumb is tucked underneath, and my fingers are over the top. And I'm just sort of carefully cutting through it. Now, what Tu was saying about ripping herbs, like the cilantro, is a great thing, because when you cut, you're cutting through the cell membrane, and you're starting the bruising process, which means that once you cut it, you got to use it. So ripping it tends to make it last a little longer, because when you rip a vegetable or a leaf, it will rip along the lines of the cells. So it tends to last a little bit longer. Stays green a little bit longer.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we're gonna season.
Okay.
This is soy sauce. Normally I'd use fish sauce, but we're making this vegan tonight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
soy sauce it is. And salt and pepper if needed. So I would season it too. I can taste it first.
Let me taste it first. It definitely needs some salt.
Definitely needs a lot of salt.
So I'm gonna hit this soy sauce pretty
There
hard.
you go.
And see how we feel. And give that a bit of a stir.
Some heat to it, huh?
Yeah, it's got some nice heat. It's good also to experiment with your own sort of like threshold for heat. Madras curry powder has a pretty standard heat level to it.
It does. I think the second ingredient is chili peppers.
Yeah.
In Madras curry.
So you kind of want to just
you can kind
careful.
of play with it. This is the particular curry that I like. It's a Vietnamese Madras curry.
Man. That's good. I don't think we're okay on salt. Maybe just a little bit more pepper. Just a little bit of black pepper. But you could theoretically do this without the Madras. You could use like ground fennel and coriander and turmeric to get your color and sort of texture there without having to add the chili if you're averse to chili.
Yeah.
Although that's such a sad thing that you're averse to chili, if that were the case.
So I just think like any pantry, just having that one curry powder that you like, or whatever, the type of salt that you like, or the type of pepper you like. Yeah. You just have to build your own flavor.
Yeah, and your own pantry should include the things that work for you.
Yeah. Like you saw, I brought in a bunch of my spices.
Yeah, but like going to like the dollar store and getting like mason jars or getting jars for you to store the spices the way you want them, the way where you get them from is important. Yeah. It doesn't need to look like a magazine shoot, but they're just the things that work for the cooking that you do.
Yeah. Like this cooking is very personal to me. This is how we in our family. Yeah. And now I'm sharing it with you and with all of you guys. And that's the stuff that I'm learning from you as well is fantastic. Yeah. So,
I mean, you can geek out about the particular things, but like here at AOK, we're very particular about salt. Yeah. So we only use one kind of kosher salt because it's the salt that dissolves the best, has the kind of the best flavor. But we've tried a lot of different salts over the years. So
if you know, you know. The Diamond Crystal is the best salt. You should get that.
Oh man, we had lots of arguments about Morton's versus Diamond Crystal.
No, Diamond Crystal is better.
But the thing is like that means you got to get out there and you got to try other ingredients. Like when you're at the store, like grab a different kind of salt and taste it.
Yeah, I have about a dozen salts in my pantry because some are finishing, some are just decorative.
Yeah. So same with oils and same with like herbs too. You see something weird or unfamiliar to you, like grab it.
Regarding the oil, we did mention is we use canola oil. Yep. You don't particularly want to use olive oil for this. That will change the flavor of it. So a flavorless oil like canola, vegetable, grape are good. Yeah. Oils.
Peanut oil, obviously.
Careful if you have an allergy, but. A lot of Vietnamese food or a lot Asian foods, you don't want to use olive oil. You kind of want to go with the flavorless oil. Yeah. When cooking those type of foods.
Not just because it changes the flavor, because those aren't indigenous. Olives are not necessarily indigenous to Southeast Asia. So, yeah. How are we looking, man?
That is looking great.
Should we prepare a little magic of television here? How are we doing on time, Nina?
We're doing great. And we have some more questions. So we're
go ahead.
I'm more than happy to answer some questions. This is almost done.
I'm going to check on the next
literally a 30-minute meal. We started this about 25 minutes ago and we're almost finished. So this is something quick and easy and really customizable. Everyone can create at home.
Yeah, it's
so what are the
beautiful.
questions?
We do have a couple questions actually about meat. We have one question wondering about your choice to select a vegan dish this evening. So we'd love to hear from you and Aaron about just how how you decided to choose this dish to share with us. And then a follow-up question sort of around that, if you were interested in adding a protein, or particularly a meat protein, something like maybe chicken or shrimp, when might you want to add that to a dish like this? And are there particular proteins that you would suggest or think might be particularly good with this flavor profile?
Well, this recipe was created from a chicken curry recipe that I had from my mom. So that the protein would be added at the beginning. For instance, if you're using seafood, you kind of want to hold off till the middle or end, because shrimp or scallops or fish can easily overcook and just mess up your entire dish.
And you don't want to season a light protein like fish before it goes in, because you want to marry the flavor of the seafood with that.
And you know, some seafoods could have a lot of salt in it, because depending on where they come from, so that will change the flavor of your dish. So taste it as you go, wait till the end to really salt it.
We didn't season this until the last stage
till the
of
end,
this
other
process.
than the curry and the flavors we built. But the reason why we went with the vegetable one, we just thought it would be more
You're the farmer, man.
I'm the farmer. We farm vegetables. So, and eggs.
Speaking personally, I am A-OK Barbecue is designed as a place that had nothing to do with barbecue. A Russian-Hungarian Jew with an Australian baker. Like, there's no lineage to the barbecue world. So we just thought Berkshire barbecue meant we could do whatever we want to do. And quite frankly, I think when it comes to barbecue, it means intention. It means time, a long time, like preparation, careful, slow preparation. This curry is pretty quick, but the pho that we made, you know, it's 2 days to make it, you know, like, and if you include the time that Kim spent raising the beef and that you spent farming the animals, us farming the vegetables, you're talking about, you know, half a year to prepare.
But that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of, especially where we live, the ability to collaborate. So like, I didn't know Aaron until 6 to 7 weeks ago, but I've known of Aaron through Kim, who I've worked with and for many years. So I think that's really wonderful. I always forget about that.
Meat for me is sort of is not on my personal diet as often as you may think it would be. I can't eat as much meat anymore because I've been inundated with brisket and chicken and sausage. Specifically for the last 2.5 years, but running a butcher shop and restaurants that focus on charcuterie and cured meats for the last, I don't know, like 12 years. I'm kind of like up to here when it comes to meat. So like, I dream of vegetables. And when I met Tu, and just I met you, and just the vibe and like the beauty of those flower arrangements, I was like, whatever this guy is growing is going to be great. And, you know, you ask around and people are like, oh yeah, like there's a waiting list for their eggs. Like the vegetables are very, like there's a limited amount on the CSA. It's not, it's made with care and a lot of intention, and not for the sake of trying to make it so everyone has some. It's like, we're doing this out of the love of doing it, and this is how much we have. And when we don't have any more, sorry.
That's
next year.
kind of like, we opened our CSA to the 2021 season 3 weeks ago, and we're sold out. So that's the wonder. So we're just taking waiting lists right now, and that's the beauty of what we've done, because people are interested in the care and time we put into it. It's taken many years to build what we have,
and it doesn't happen overnight. But these collaborations allow us to show the things that we're both interested in. I want to know more about different cultures, and Tu wants to, you know, we want to cook together. Like,
and so thankful for the opportunity. Aaron and Alex allowed me to use the space.
You know, this is more fun for us, because this is the kind of space that we think is what makes it a restaurant. What a restaurant should be in a community is not just a place that serves food a couple nights a week. It's like, it's a gathering place, you know? We can't wait for all the vaccines to be through and everyone, so we can do this and eat outside and have like a real gathering of people. Like, that's the best thing, man.
Yeah, it's really wonderful.
All right, so we're going to perform a little TV magic
We're going to perform a little TV magic. We have some prepared. And the thing about curries or any stewed dishes is that it always tastes better a few days later or the following week.
I'm gonna get the bowls, chef.
So tonight we are going to serve this with rice
Mhm.
that my husband made earlier.
Any particular kind of rice you've got here?
This is jasmine rice.
I'm just gonna show everybody the jasmine rice. Oh yeah. Everything smells very fresh. Sure, I pointed that out. And you can see, guys, that like obviously this is a different batch that we made. This was actually part of the batch that we're preparing for our Sunday pop-up. By the way, we still have like 20 or so portions of this curry left, so get it while it lasts. But the viscosity you can see here has thickened up. Once the Madras curry, like once the powder has fully bloomed in the coconut milk and everything has had a chance to sort of cool down, everything marries so much more intensely, and you've got this really rich, super deep flavor, which is good for everything. I mean, like,
Yeah.
that's why we're serving with baguette, because it's just like, just dip bread into this. That's how you're going to eat it.
Yeah, you're gonna want to bring that baguette home and toast it.
Yeah, Tu was saying
And-
that even like traditionally, this is not served with rice. Like, you know, it's like,
No, it's usually if there's a lot of liquid, then you serve it with rice noodles. It's served on the street
yeah,
with a toasted baguette. The first time I had this in Vietnam in Saigon, I think I was like 21.
oh my God.
It's like I came here when I was 1 year old. It had been 2 decades before I actually went back to my birth country. And it was just so amazing to see this woman just pushing a cart.
Yeah.
And she just had curry and baguettes. And you just see the baguettes piled up in a mountain. And you serve this bowl of curry. And you literally are standing there eating it because you can't take her bowl away.
Yeah.
But it's that
Yeah.
that sensory memory
Yeah.
of that smell and the crispiness of the toasted baguette dipping in this sauce, and I won't ever forget that.
Yeah,
because that sense is just always there.
And I'm gonna make a comment here, but like that is ultimately what we're excited about for this pop-up, is that all of these dishes that we're selling this weekend on Sunday are meant to be taken home and heated up, and hopefully build a little bit of viscera around the memory of having a freshly baked baguette in your hometown and curry made by people who grew vegetables in that community in your home, eating it and being like, oh my God, I live in North Adams and I'm eating, or I live in Williamstown and I'm eating curry with vegetables that were grown in this soil.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the conversation, right? Like with our customers this past year, it's that, what is this weird vegetable? How do I cook it? Or, like all these different things, but it's starting that conversation between the farmer and the client. And I think that can only continue. And we're taking the conversation to a different level.
Yeah.
And then now we're going to share it with the people who get this food, and they're going to interpret it differently.
Awesome.
So we're looking forward to being able to share all of that.
There's one more thing too. I want to make a point that when we were cooking this curry for Sunday, we stopped it at the same point in which we did our little TV magic, which then Tu said he mentioned it earlier, but like freezing in that state will allow it to completely sort of, by the time you take it out of the freezer and reheat it, it's perfect.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Like the vegetables are cooked, but not mushy.
Yeah.
They still hold their shape.
A little al dente. They got a tooth.
So
would you please do the honors?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have some.
Oh, you want to do the ladle? Okay, this is good. Hold on a second. Let me get a little bit of action here. I think
I'm
everyone's
gonna
going to want to see
this
this.
go away.
Here, hold on a second. I'm going to get over here. Okay.
See that?
Oh my God.
It's really pretty.
You guys could smell this. It's the color of the peppers in there as well too.
And then we'll finish this like this.
A little bit of black pepper.
A little bit of this.
Oh my goodness. That's it.
That's it. Isn't
That's
that
the whole
pretty?
dish, guys. You know, substitute root vegetables you want.
Yeah.
I'm thinking right now it'd be wild if you did this with like carrots and beets.
Yeah, imagine in the summer, carrots, beets. In this last summer, I think I have pictures from. I made it with zucchini, baby corn, and beans.
Oh my God. That sounds so good. And see this right on top too. Take one of those tasting spoons and push this mushroom around. I just want you to be able to show this. There's a whole piece of shiitake mushroom that just went right in there. Oh my God, I want to dive into that. Yeah, I'm gonna do this from up top here, a little angel seasoning.
There you go.
Oh my God, so beautiful.
Dig in.
That's the whole story, guys.
Just gonna taste this.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna turn the second camera off here, so you guys can watch us eat on one camera. This is what everyone loves to see on the TV, right? Yeah. And you're gonna get some here?
Yeah, I'm making her up.
Oh my God. So this is jasmine rice. How do you prepare this rice?
We do it in a rice cooker, but it's best to soak the rice for a little bit before you strain it. Okay. So, but this is jasmine rice, and I like to buy new rice. Like it's.
Bowl up. There you go.
Look how, did you show them what this looks like?
I did. I have lots of photos, but
yeah.
I'm going to let them look on one camera instead of two. Trying to eat into the mic, guys, but this is really amazing.
Perfect amount of heat.
And
yeah.
Then Aaron, you said you should take the ginger and lemongrass out when you eat it generally.
Yeah.
Was that part of the
Yeah, this one doesn't have it. Our TV magic, we took that out already.
But also, I can't imagine leaving the. Would you even have a problem leaving it in the like if you were packaging that up for the freezer? If the ginger and lemongrass stayed in there?
I wouldn't, like for home. I would leave it in there.
You would leave it in there, okay?
Yeah, and then when I reheat it, then I'll scoop it out because Matt doesn't like taking a bite into those things, and sometimes I don't either.
Yeah.
So
I like that you have a rice cooker at home as well too. I've always been intimidated about buying a rice cooker because I'm like, I know how to cook rice. But there's something, another friend of mine swears by it, just be like, it's perfect every single time.
It's perfect every time.
Yeah. Don't make your life crazy.
And use it as one of the vegetables. So
Brown it first?
no. And so if I were to use tofu in this dish, I'd go the extra step of frying the tofu first and then adding it in fried tofu in there. So you're creating almost a sponge to soak in the flavor without it disintegrating.
Sounds awesome. Any other questions?
Someone was asking also if besides soy sauce, we had someone asking if other than soy sauce, if there are any other types of vegan or veggie like substitutes for fish sauce that might give a fishy flavor to it.
Well, that's why we added the shiitakes to add that umami in there. The shiitakes with the soy sauce creates that umami, but you could forego the soy sauce and use more salt and some type of earthy.
Yeah, you could use like Bragg's. What are those? Amino acids, yeah.
Or Worcestershire.
Worcestershire, but there's fish.
Like
there's
English
fish and most Worcestershire sauce as well.
Yeah,
too.
it's made with anchovies as well.
But like fish sauce is not like it's not like cod liver oil. Like,
I know so many Vietnamese vegans that eat fish sauce. They're like, we're vegan, but we can't give up fish sauce.
Yeah, you use so little of the fish sauce that it just adds that thing. It's like anchovies in Caesar dressing. It doesn't have to be the main ingredient. It's just it's
an enhancer.
That's right.
And
I would say try it first before you remove it.
It's so used in everything. I remember growing up that there was not spaghetti made without fish sauce in our house.
Oh my God, that sounds
just
great.
What happened. So it's just and I use about 5 different varieties of fish sauce depending what I'm making. Like for instance, the fish sauce we use for making pho is from the island I was born on, Phu Quoc, and it's a really saltier version. So that's really great for stocks and soups. But if I was making for a dipping sauce, which is on 328north.com, a recipe for that, I'll use a lighter fish sauce, like 3 crabs or red boat, things like that. So for fresh eating.
Yeah. So
those are different things. Again, you should try and see if it's your flavor or not. Some people just don't like it. So, and if you know of any alternative, share with us.
Yeah.
So we can share with others as well.
Yeah, it's been great seeing folks responding to one another in the chats with suggestions or comments. We did have a couple questions too for you two about the homestead, also about growing lemongrass and ginger.
Uh-huh. What about how challenging it is, or?
Yeah, I guess just like how easy is it? I think one of the things that was surprising to me personally is that in this northeast climate that you can grow ginger and lemongrass. I know also too you mentioned to me the other day that these are things you start really early in the season. They have a really long growing season.
Yes. So typically I start seeds this week, but I'm pushing them to next week. So the first seeds that I start for the season will be lemongrass and eucalyptus. And then the following, it will be leeks and bunching onions and shallots and everything that we collect seeds from and start. And having a greenhouse and an indoor greenhouse that we've created really, really helps get the season started. And that isn't without failure the first few years and having to resort to buying actual lemongrass and then dividing it. But through failures, there's been a lot of successes through that. So, it's just understanding the environment. Like last year, we had a drought and we had late season snow and early season frost. So our growing season was cut. Like we lost over 30 days growing. So how did I manage that? Because lemongrass and ginger take a very, very long time. So it's just being prepared for the climate and weather that is very, very unpredictable here in New England.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We had someone also mention that actually lemongrass can be really easy to grow. You can even root it from the supermarket.
You can. If you could, for instance, this has been in our fridge for many, many months. This is the last of our lemongrass. And the last of our lemongrass in our freezer went into the curry for Sunday's pop-up. So you should enjoy the last of our ginger lemongrass and squash in that curry this week. But yeah, so I would clean it off a little bit and cut it at an angle, and you can put this in water and it should root. But I would change the water every few days and wash it out so no algae or bacteria forms, and just make sure it's root. And I would wait till the roots are 2 to 3 inches, about 10 centimeters before you actually plant it in dirt, and make sure it gets lots and lots of water when you first plant it the first 10 to 14 days, and then you can ease back. So,
oh man,
that's a great tip.
Yeah, you can do that with ginger too. Like you're going to chit it like you do potatoes and let it grow a little bit. You can break these up. Like each one of these will be an eye, let this harden. And then as it starts to sprout, plant it in the ground about 3 to 4 inches deep. And it doesn't like direct sun, but since we are in a shorter growing season, direct sun does help. And I usually keep it covered at the beginning and end of the season to extend my growing. So,
wow, so cool.
Any other questions?
Maybe I think we just might have one more. If anyone has any final questions, please feel free to just drop them in the chat or Q&A. But someone was asking if your homestead is on solar. If you use solar power.
In our garden, we do. Like our shed is solar powered, so we charge all our tools through that. We collect rainwater to feed as much as we can. Right now we have 2 350-gallon tanks for rainwater. We're going to add more capacity this year as we continue to build. But it's just been the two of us, my partner and I, and we started with an empty field in 2014, and we've expanded a decent amount every season. So
it's incredible.
Yeah. It's and our goal has always to be sustainable and leave a smaller footprint. So we try to reuse and recycle as much as we can. Like for instance, plant stakes. We scoured like the transfer station and Goodwill and tag sales for old curtain rods, and we use those as plant stakes. So it's little things like that could be effective for your own personal garden or for our homestead. It's worked as well.
Yeah.
So
great, you guys. Well, I think that we are at the end of our program. This has just been so wonderful.
it's been really great.
Awesome.
Beautiful to see you both, to see this beautiful dish. We do have just one more question. Someone was wondering if you cook the mushrooms yourself.
No, we don't. But that
No.
is something we are adding to our farm this year.
Unreal.
Shiitakes.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful.
we're building a little grow shed for it.
Yeah. We source those through a company called Marty's Local, which finds supports farmers throughout New England and sort of the Northeast to provide restaurants with locally grown product. Obviously, in the wintertime, things tend to come from a little bit further away, where the growing season is a little different. But in the summertime, I mean, you don't have to shop outside of Massachusetts.
No, you don't. And I found some really amazing foragers in the Northern Berkshires for mushrooms over the years. I've gotten great chanterelles, Hand of the Woods from just foragers I found on Instagram or Facebook. And it's really search out for small farmers and foragers if you can to find products. Like Aaron says, like for years, people didn't know who we are other than a handful of people that we knew in town and didn't know what we were doing other than a weird funky house with bike flowers and fencing. So,
and I want to also highlight on the AOK barbecue website, Aaron and Alex have also a list of some of the many incredible farmers that they from this region that they partner with, and that can be a great resource. We'll also be sending that link out in the follow-up email. And as we've seen and heard tonight too, and the 328 North Farm website is an incredible resource. We shared out a link to the recipe for this. It'll also go out in the follow-up email, but there's also a wonderful host of beyond beautiful images and information about the farm, also some wonderful tips and recipes as well. So we encourage you to continue exploring with the incredible work that both Tu and Aaron do for our community and for the whole region. And as we also have been hearing tonight, the pop-up that they are doing, if you are local, you can still snag, it seems like
some of this curry is all that's left. We sold out of the pho earlier this evening, but the response has been really, really great to sell out in less than 24 hours. I think we're going to have to revisit and possibly do another one soon.
And for also, as one last thing, for those of you who are like viewing in from out of state who can't enjoy the curry, we have a program on our website. If you want to order it, called a Feed It Forward program, which it's $13, and you put in for half the meal, we put in for the other half, and those go out to people who need a free meal here in town. So please feel free to do that. That goes to people who are hungry.
Yeah, and no matter where you're viewing from, please donate to your local food bank because they could use the money. They don't need your extra products. They could use extra money. So please do.
Yeah.
Beautiful advice. And thank you both so much. I think we're going to sign off because we want people to be able to eat their own delicious dinners where they are, or maybe make this beautiful meal at home. And as always, for those of you tuning in, if you have any questions for us, you can always get in touch with us at the museum at wicma@williams.edu. We also always send out a survey. You'll get that after leaving the program and also in the follow-up email. We love to hear from you, to hear feedback, to hear what you want to see more of. We're so delighted to have been able to host these programs this past month. We hope to continue doing this kind of work for everyone and to highlight the just beautiful work that our community is doing. So please just thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you so much, Tu. It's just been so wonderful working with you. And thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight, and all the hungry people that we're leaving with to go head off.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Don't forget to vote.
Yeah.
Bye.